welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I created this purple, pink kind of smoky eye for Valentine's Day. Hopefully you guys can find inspiration in today's video on maybe you're stuck and trying to figure out what you're going to do. So hopefully this provides inspiration. I hope you guys love the look. Definitely sound off down below as always and let me know what you guys think. Whether you're going out with friends or your significant other, it really doesn't matter. This look is definitely nighttime appropriate. I did decide to pair this look with a nude lip today. You could definitely choose a more bold lip if you preferred, but I felt like since we have so much going on the eyes, the best thing to do was just to keep it nice and simple for the lips. So with that being said, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, definitely make sure you subscribe. Also make sure you're hitting that bell notification so you can be notified every single time I upload. And with that, we are going to jump right into the video. So I'm going to start with priming my face, and I'm going to use the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer. This is supposed to be just like the Milk Makeup Primer. And since I'm running low on that, I found this and I picked it up. So this is what we're going to use today. I have never used this before, but I expect great things. It's very tacky, like you guys see that. So I'm just going to put this in all the normal places that I would put the Milk Makeup Primer, which is pretty much in my T-zone for the most part. It smells good too. And just kind of like all over my face, but focusing it mainly like where my pores are. So this doesn't seem as tacky as the Milk Makeup Primer, but it went on really smoothly and it smells really good. So I'm really hoping that it works. Now I'm going to go in with the Brightening Peach Little Corrector from Pixie by Petra. I'm just going to use my little brush. I'm going to get this little mark over here because I do have a dark spot from my blemish. And then I'm also, of course, going to take it on the sides of my nose and underneath my eye and above my lip, of course. Whenever I do my makeup, I notice the darkness around my lips sometimes, but when I'm not wearing any makeup, I don't really notice it that much. I'm not really sure why that is, but that's why I am putting color corrector above my lip. I don't have to do this every single time I do my makeup, but it's Valentine's Day and you want, you know, that extraness, so that's definitely why I'm doing it now. And then I'm gonna go in with my powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Translucent Powder in Light Medium. You guys know I love using this to set down my primers and of course set down the color corrector. So I'm just gonna take a light layer of this, and this sponge is actually dry. I'm just gonna use this just to press it into my skin. I really feel like setting my primer with a loose powder has really transformed like makeup for me, and it's just, I feel like it doesn't really look the same if I don't set with powder. If you guys have watched my first video back, I feel like the foundation looked a little cakey without doing this step, so definitely gonna make sure I do that today and just set everything. For foundation, I am going to be testing out once more the Tarte Face Tape. I did like this foundation when I first tried it, but after editing that video and just like really looking at my makeup, like I said, the way that I applied it, one, I think I used a brush, and two, I didn't use powder underneath. I felt like it looked a little cakey, so I am going to be using a little bit less of this product today on my face. I'm just going to literally take one pump and just dot that on my face, and then just kind of see how it looks like that. But if this were actually Valentine's Day, I probably wouldn't go in with a foundation I wasn't too sure of. I'd definitely use something I'm more sure of, whether it's the NARS foundation or this right here, this Maybelline foundation that I absolutely love. So definitely would be doing that. But I do want to try this out, and since this is kind of like a test run, I don't see the harm in it, so definitely using less product than I did the first time around. I do feel like less is better with this foundation because it's so full coverage, so you just do a little bit at a time. That way it's not too cakey. Sometimes with thicker foundations, if you use too much of it, it definitely could look cakey, and we definitely don't want that. So a lighter layer seems to be better fit for me versus just going in with so much. And again, not trying to put too much on my forehead, but just enough to just cover up and make it all look even. For concealer, I am going to go in with this Pretty Vulgar concealer. This is in the shade The Middle Ground. And I'm just going to use a light layer of this underneath my eyes. This is more of like a natural concealer and definitely more closer in skin tone or color to my skin tone. You guys get what I'm saying? So I'm going to put this down first, and then I'm just going to add a very small amount of the e.l.f. Camo Concealer in the shade Tan Sand, just for a little bit more of like a brighter under eye. But this is a really, really nice concealer just for like, you know, that natural kind of look. So although I am putting a little bit down my nose and everywhere else, that e.l.f. Camo Concealer will add to this and help brighten up the look a little bit. So this again is in Tan Sand, and I'm just going to take very little of this because this is definitely more fuller coverage. Now we're going to blend out this concealer. I'm going to use the same sponge, just tap it out. That Pretty Vulgar concealer blends out so beautifully. It's like effortless to blend it out, and I really have been loving it. So I'm using the butt of the sponge to like blend out the edges of that concealer, and then as I get closer to the eye, I'll use this straighter part and just really pinch it and just press underneath there just to get it nice and blended out. To set everything down and in place, I am gonna go in with the Huda Beauty Banana Bread powder. I really, really love this powder for like really glam looks and just setting my makeup down in general. This is a really nice powder. It does have a somewhat of a strong scent to it, so you just got to be careful of that. If you don't like powders with scents, you wouldn't like this one because of that, but outside of the smell, it really applies very, very nicely. So I am going to just use that same sponge as before, and I'm just going to use this to just press it underneath my eyes. I'm also going to take it in the T-zone because this is where I have my oil problems. But again, I find that putting powder underneath the foundation just really helps with like my oiliness. I know I've been saying that my skin has been more dry, which is true, but whenever I apply like really dewy products, my face can get a little oily with makeup. So to prevent that, putting the powder underneath and again setting on top just really helps all of that out. So while that's baking, I am going to take my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade, and your girl definitely needs to get a new one because it's not very much in there. But I'm going to take that with my ABH number 12 brush, and I'm just going to use this gel just to create fake like hair strokes in the front of my brow and just kind of feather it out as I go down, just to create more of like a natural brow but still kind of put together, if that makes sense. As you can see, it creates more of like a bushy brow but still kind of put together. I do have some sparse areas that I could fill in a little bit more, like right in this area. So now that I have you guys a little bit more zoomed in, we are going to work on the eyes. I'm using this beautiful palette right here. This is the 39S Artistry palette from Morphe, and I think it's the perfect palette for this look. So the first shade, this palette's a little big, but the first shade that I'm going to use is this one over here, which is more of like a neutral tone shade. So I'm going to just use this in my crease just to kind of create a little bit of definition. Nothing too intense though, because we're going to just be going in with a lot of pink and purple shadows. So I just want to dust a light layer of this in my crease. Next, I want to grab this pinky shade right here. It's kind of similar to this one, just a little lighter. So I'm just going to take some of that, and I'm going to put this in my crease. I'm first just pressing this on my lid, and then we'll worry about blending afterwards. This shade right here is more of like a Barney pinky kind of purple shade. It is really pretty, blending out very, very nicely. It's really not taking any effort at all to blend it out, so that's really good. But I do want to go on top of it. I'm going to grab a different blending brush, just like this little small one. I'm going to grab the lighter pink, which is like this hot pink shade right here. And I'm going to use this to help blend it out even more, like the edges, and just kind of swirl it up here in kind of like circular motions. Just grabbing a little bit more and then using that to blend out my edges. Before we go in with a purple shade, I do want to grab this darker pink over here. This is again kind of similar to this one, but just a little bit more deeper. And I'm going to focus this shade on the outer V portion of my eye and not take it up too far into the crease, just like right below it. So I'm using like tapping and windshield wiper motions just to lightly place that shade right here. And I'm just using a light hand when doing this, and I'm also not going to use too much of the shadow because we are going to add a different color on top. I just want to kind of start to define this outer part of my eye before we go in with shimmer. So I do want to go in with multiple shimmers. The first one is going to be this one right here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my brush, and then I'm going to start packing this on the inner part of my lid. It's coming off as like a purple. Definitely not what I anticipated. Not that I'm mad that it's purple or anything, but it looks more pink in the pan. When you put it on your lid, it's definitely purple. That's super pretty. I mean, it's not like neat or anything, but you definitely could cut your crease if you wanted to. I'm just kind of overcutting my crease. Not that I did it much anyways. I don't know, I feel like the look looks more seamless when you don't cut your crease, but you definitely could. And I'm just putting this on the inner part of my lid. I'm not going all the way down here because we are going to add more of a matte shadow. So I feel like we need to add just a little oomph. So I'm going to take a little bit of this grayish shadow right here, and I'm going to pop that right on this little part right here. So we're going to chill on the glitter because that's not what I wanted, but I'm going to take this purple shade down here and I'm going to put this in my outer corner. Go here. And just blend it upwards. Again, not into my crease, but I'm definitely blending it with this darker shimmer shade that we placed here. It's not even all that shimmery, to be honest. I feel like that darker shimmer shade that we put like kind of almost on the outer corner, but not completely, like that gray kind of tone shade, definitely looks better now that I've had the purple mixed in. It was definitely not looking good at all with just the pink. So I am definitely glad that I added this purple down here. I mean, it was always my intention to add the purple, but I'm glad that it looks good together. So I'm just focused on blending this out. I'm not adding additional product to my brush. I'm just really trying to make this blend out here seamlessly and nicely. And it just looks really good. So I applied a little bit of wing liner and I smoked it out just a little bit. I did use the black in the Tati palette called Memory, that matte black shade, just to help smoke out the liner. The liner in which I used is this Hank & Henry Slick With It liner, and it's a really, really nice eyeliner that I received in BoxyCharm quite a while ago. So I just used this just to line my little lashes real quick, or my eyelid. Nothing too dramatic, but I feel like it really helps smoke out this look. Now for the bottom lash line, I'm literally just going to take the same shades that we used at the top and just kind of use that to drag them down below. I'm going to start by mixing the two darker pink shades that we used and just use that to smudge on my lower lash line. I really do want to blow out my bottom lash line just a little bit extra than I normally would, just because it'll give it more of like a really nice smoky effect. Now for bronzer, I am going to be using my MAC Give Me Sun. This has been a fave of mine, so just going to use this to bronze up my skin a little bit and add some of that much needed color back into my cheekbones and the perimeter of my face. I found that to get a nicer blend, you just kind of like move your brush in like a circular motion, even when you're doing like the side of your face. instead of going like this. Especially with like a smaller brush like this, it's definitely better to just concentrate it in a circular motion, and it'll help blend it out a lot better. And to add a little bit more definition, I'm going to go in with Saddle from ABH and put that down here. I guess the best way for me to explain using this bronzer as kind of like a contour and in combination with this brush is that it really provides a nice chiseled cheek area. Like if you guys seen before when I just had the bronzer on, it wasn't too intense or anything, and it wasn't super defined, but just using this brush with this bronzer from ABH just really has changed the game for me. And I just feel like it definitely helps to bring a more glam look to the face. If I wasn't trying to be super glam, I probably would just skip this bronzer altogether. But obviously we want a super glam look, so I think it really helps in doing that. It's definitely been like a favorite thing to do of mine. And then of course I'm going to go in with the Hoola Benefit. This is the bronzer. So again, using another bronzer. You guys know I'm all about using bronzers. So I'm just going to use this to carve out my nose contour and just kind of get that situated. And then to soften the contour, I just like to go over it with that same sponge just to soften it up a little bit. And then now we can carve out our cheeks. Well, actually, yes, we're going to carve out our cheeks. So I'm going to take some more powder, and I'm just going to drag this across on both sides and then just wipe it away. And then now you can just wipe it away. I don't need it to sit for super long. It looks more natural if you just kind of like put it on there and then just take it right off. And then it just cleans it up for you and just helps everything look nicer. I also applied a little bit to my nose just to help with the nose contour. For highlighter, I'm just going to use this one. This one is Precious Petals from Wet n Wild, and it just looks like this. It's just a really nice champagne kind of rose gold highlighter. So I'm just going to use a blush brush because nowadays, like my highlight, I don't like a dark line. Now I just like to take a nice little blush brush and just kind of spread it out on my cheeks. To me, I feel like it just gives it more of like a seamless glow to your skin, and it's not super harsh or intense, and it helps to just blend everything together, and you can't really tell where the highlight starts and where it finishes. And then for blush, I'm going to use this MAC Trio. I'm going to use the blush shade right here in the middle, which is like this nice pink. It's a little washed out on camera, but it is a very, very pretty pink shade. And since we have pink on our lids, we're going to use a little bit of this. And we're just going to blend it in with that highlighter. And this blush is like super pigmented. So I'm going to go back in with that bronzer brush. Just kind of blend everything in nice and seamlessly. For my inner corner highlight and brow bone, I'm going to use this highlighter right here in that same MAC palette. And I'm just going to pop this right here. This has more of like a pink tone to it, this highlight, which is why I'm choosing to use this instead of the Precious Petals. Now before we get to lips, we are going to spray our face down. I'm going to use the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid's little setting spray just to set everything down initially, and then I'll go in with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Now for my lips, I'm going to use the BFF Lippy Pencil. I believe, yeah, this is just BFF. And I'm just going to line my lips. I did fill them in as always. I don't know. It's kind of like what I always do. Now I'm going to take Dose of Colors. This is in the shade Truffle. And I'm going to put this on my lips. I do want to take a little bit of sand in the same line. Dose of Colors Matte Liquid Lip. Put a little bit in the center of my lip. And then just use this brush just to blot it a little bit. So this is the finished and final makeup look. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. I definitely enjoy sitting down all the time and just creating makeup and creating looks. Not creating makeup, but creating makeup looks using makeup. That's the way to put it. But I love doing that. It's truly a passion of mine. Not only does it help me get better, but it also gives you guys something to, you know, reference and look to. Hopefully this tutorial today helped you decide which you're going to do for Valentine's Day. If you do happen to recreate this look, definitely make sure you tag me on Instagram. If you do not have Instagram, I also have Twitter. All my links to all my social media is always in the description down below, so you guys can always check that out. I do not have anything else to say, honestly, other than I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy your Valentine's Day, and I will see you guys super soon in the next video or vlog, whichever one comes first.